But let's talk about you and what your plans are for 2024. I know you've got a tour, you have your academy, and you have a new book.
Yes, I'm finishing up what I think will be 2 books. The first one is called We Who Wrestle with God, and it's going to be an analysis of the fundamental stories of the Western world, and so that really means a biblical analysis. One book is going to focus on the Old Testament and the other on the New Testament, and I'm finishing those up now. That'll constitute the content for the tour that my wife and I are going on with some special guests, including Jonathan Pageau, that will run from February through May, 51 cities across the United States, and then off to Central and South America. And I'm very much excited about doing that and recording it and releasing those recordings live. The reason this is so important, Piers, is because our world depends on stories. The integrity of our psyches is predicated on the unity and functionality of the stories that guide our perceptions and our emotions. And our social stability is predicated on the sharing of a universal narrative. That's what it means for a culture to be united in belief and commitment and conviction. And for better or worse, the uniting stories of the West are those derived from the Judeo-Christian tradition. And we've lost contact with them. We've sawed off the branch that we sit on. And part of the reason for that is that in some way we never really understood the stories, but were willing to act as if or believe that they were true. But we're now at a point where, partly because of the conflict between the scientific mind and the religious mind, we not only have to believe, we have to understand. And what I'm trying to do is to make that understanding possible. I'm writing as deeply as I can about the stories that guide us, and I hope to bring what I've been privileged to investigate to as wide an audience as possible. I'm also going to do a gospel seminar with many of the same thinkers that I conducted the Exodus seminar with in April for the same reason. And so I'm extremely excited about that. I can't really imagine doing anything more interesting or having a privilege that's greater than having the opportunity to make what I know public during this tour. As I said, a tour of 50 cities, very extensive. So, and then in February, I'm doing a soft launch with my daughter of Peterson Academy, which is our attempt to rectify the abysmal situation that modern institutions of higher education have landed themselves in, and to provide the opportunity for people all over the world to obtain a high-quality, general, university-level education very efficiently, hopefully enjoyably, and at a low cost. I would say we're going to drop the price of a bachelor's degree by 95%. And I can't imagine anything being timed better than that, especially in the aftermath of the absolute catastrophe that the presidents of UPenn, MIT, and Harvard have made of their associated institutions.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't touched on that, but just quickly, what was your view of that? It looked to me like finally the chickens came home to roost with the people that led those colleges, who've been basically attacking free speech now for a number of years.
Well, when I watched it in jaw-dropped amazement. I felt, well, this is the testimony in D.C. of the 3 university presidents. I thought 2 things. I thought it's a complete bloody miracle that these people who've been clamoring for the restriction of free speech on the basis of oppression and harm can't admit that calls for the genocide of Jews, no matter how arguably tangential, don't violate these incredibly restrictive free speech codes, which they themselves have been screeching about like mad harpies for decades. So that was just a bloody miracle of blind stupidity. And it was a catastrophe, as far as I was concerned, that it characterized particularly MIT and Harvard, because those were great places. And then to ally that with the implicit presumption, as they did, that it was self-evident that the moral stance that those same presidents took would be met with, by the general public, with nothing but open-armed appreciation, was also an indication of how absolutely demented and self-deluding the universities have become. And I say that, apart from my financial interest in making Peterson Academy work, let's say, and my moral interest as well, I say that with no satisfaction whatsoever. I worked at Harvard for 6 years, and I loved it. It was a great place. And the half-wit Pharisees, scribes, and lawyers have, wormed their way in with their ideological moralizing and devastated those institutions. And people like Bill Ackman, who sort of led the charge along with Christopher Rufo with regard to Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, they've started to wake up to how deep the rot goes, but they've just barely scraped the surface. So many of our institutions of higher learning, including those devoted to the hypothetically scientific endeavor, have become corrupted to the point where replacement is likely the only possible way forward. Could Harvard find its way once again? Well, maybe if you did what Elon Musk did when he took over Twitter and fired 95% of the administrators and a fair number of the faculty. But who are you going to get to replace them? And who's going to do that? No, parallel institutions are the name of the game now. And you see that with the University of Austin. You see it with Ralston College in Savannah. And that's what we're going to try to do with Peterson Academy. All the quality at 1/20th the price. And hopefully a limited amount of ideological moralizing. We have great professors, man. We've got 30 professors who've already taped courses. So
I love the ambition for this, Jordan. I've got to leave it there. I don't want to, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining me. A perfect way to start Piers Morgan Uncensored for 2024. I wish you, as I said, a very happy new year. All the best with your expanding family, and I hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, Piers. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.